The Serbian migration to the Habsburg Empire in the late 17th century is a significant chapter in the history of the Balkans and Central Europe, characterized by flight from Ottoman domination, resettlement in foreign lands, and the complex relationship between the Serbs and their new rulers. This migration was driven by the Serbs' desire to escape Ottoman rule, and while they were welcomed by the Habsburgs as a military buffer, they were never fully integrated or accepted within the empire. By the late 17th century, the Ottoman Empire had long dominated the Balkans, controlling large swathes of southeastern Europe, including Serbia. The region had been under Ottoman rule for more than 2 centuries, following the decisive Battle of Kosovo in 1389, which marked the beginning of Serbian subjugation to Ottoman forces. Under Ottoman rule, Serbs faced religious persecution, heavy taxation, and the constant threat of war and violence. While some converted to Islam to avoid persecution, the majority remained Eastern Orthodox Christians, clinging to their faith and traditions in defiance of Ottoman oppression. In the 1680s, a new chapter began in this long-standing conflict as the Great Turkish War, 1683-1699, unfolded between the Habsburgs and the Ottomans. The Habsburgs, rulers of the Austrian Empire, saw an opportunity to push back against the Ottoman advance and reclaim lands in southeastern Europe. This war culminated in the famous Battle of Vienna in 1683, where the combined forces of Austria and Poland defeated the Ottomans, marking a turning point in the conflict. Following this victory, the Habsburgs began a series of campaigns to recapture territories in Hungary, Croatia, and Serbia from Ottoman control. As the Habsburgs advanced, many Serbs in Ottoman-controlled territories saw the conflict as an opportunity to liberate themselves from Ottoman rule. Thousands of Serbs joined the Habsburg army as soldiers and militias, hoping that an Austrian victory would free their lands from Ottoman domination. However, the tides of war soon shifted, and by 1690, the Ottomans launched a counter-offensive, pushing the Habsburgs back and regaining control of much of Serbia. Faced with the return of Ottoman rule, tens of thousands of Serbs fled their homes, seeking refuge in the Habsburg lands. To the north, the mass exodus of Serbs into the Habsburg Empire in 1690 is one of the largest migrations in Balkan history, led by the Serbian Patriarch Arsenije III Czarnojević. Approximately 30,000 to 40,000 Serbs crossed the Danube River and settled in Habsburg-controlled territories, primarily in Hungary, Croatia, and Slavonia. This migration, known as the Great Serbian Migration, was driven by both fear of Ottoman reprisals and the hope that the Habsburgs would offer protection and new opportunities for the displaced Serbs. The Habsburg rulers, notably Emperor Leopold II, saw strategic value in this influx of Serbian refugees. The Serbs were skilled warriors, and their presence in border regions offered a valuable defense against further Ottoman incursions. The Habsburgs promised the Serbs a degree of autonomy and religious freedom in exchange for their military service. In 1690, Emperor Leopold issued the Privilegium, or Charter, which granted the Serbs the right to settle in Habsburg lands, practice their Orthodox Christian faith, and establish their own religious and administrative structures under the authority of the Serbian Orthodox Church. The Habsburgs strategically settled the Serbs in regions close to the Ottoman border, particularly in southern Hungary and parts of Croatia. These areas, known as the military frontier or Vojna Krajina, were sparsely populated and frequently subjected to raids and conflicts with the Ottoman Empire. The Habsburg authorities hoped that the Serbs, with their military experience, would serve as a defensive buffer, protecting the empire's southern borders from further Ottoman advances. In many ways, the Serbs fulfilled this role. They formed military communities and played a key part in defending Habsburg territory. In return for their service, they were exempt from certain taxes and allowed to govern themselves within the military framework. The Habsburg authorities even established a separate Serbian administrative unit known as the Vojvodina, giving the Serbs a semblance of autonomy within the empire. However, this arrangement came with significant limitations. While the Serbs were useful as soldiers, they were not fully integrated into Habsburg society. They were often treated as outsiders, regarded with suspicion by both the Catholic Habsburg authorities and the local populations in Hungary and Croatia. The Catholic Church viewed the presence of a large Orthodox Christian population as a threat to its dominance, and efforts were made to convert the Serbs to Catholicism, despite the promises of religious freedom. The relationship between the Habsburg authorities and the Serbian settlers was one of mutual need, but also distrust. While the Habsburgs valued the Serbs' military contributions, they were wary of granting them too much autonomy. The promises made in Emperor Leopold's privilegium were often not fully honored, and the Serbs found themselves subjected to increasing restrictions over time. Their Orthodox Church faced pressure to submit to the authority of the Catholic Church, and the local Catholic populations often viewed the Serbs with hostility, seeing them as competitors for land and resources. As the years passed, tensions between the Serbs and the Habsburg authorities grew. The Serbs wanted greater autonomy and recognition of their rights, particularly their religious rights, while the Habsburgs sought to tighten their control over the Serbian population. This culminated in several Serbian uprisings and protests throughout the 18th century, as the Serbs resisted efforts to impose Catholicism and reduce their privileges. At the same time, the Serbs began to form a distinct identity within the Habsburg Empire. They established their own schools, churches, and cultural institutions, maintaining their language, traditions, and Orthodox faith. The Serbian Orthodox Church played a central role in preserving Serbian identity, serving as both a religious and political institution that advocated for Serbian rights within the Habsburg system. The Great Serbian Migration to the Habsburg Empire had long-lasting consequences for both the Serbs and the Habsburgs. For the Serbs, it marked the beginning of a new chapter in their history, as they became a significant minority within the Habsburg lands. While they faced challenges and discrimination, they also contributed to the military and economic life of the empire, particularly in the military frontier region. The migration also helped to shape the development of Serbian nationalism. The Serbs' struggles for autonomy and recognition within the Habsburg Empire laid the groundwork for later nationalist movements in the 19th and 20th centuries. Their experience of displacement and resistance to foreign domination would become central themes in Serbian national identity. For the Habsburgs, the settlement of the Serbs provided a temporary solution to the problem of defending the empire's borders. However, it also created new challenges, as the presence of a large autonomous Orthodox Christian population complicated the empire's religious and political landscape. The Serbian migration to the Habsburg lands in the late 17th century was a pivotal moment in the history of the Balkans and Central Europe. Driven by the desire to escape Ottoman rule, the Serbs sought refuge in the Habsburg Empire, where they became both a valuable military asset and a marginalized community. Their story is one of resilience, as they navigated the complex dynamics of migration, military service, and cultural preservation in a foreign land.